Hi everyone, welcome to this week's podcast. I am Charlotte Milne, run and strength coach.
And I am Kim, run and health coach.
And we're both from CMF Running. How has your week been, Kim?
It's been good this week. It's been good. I've been out for a few runs and I've done my strength work as well. The weather's turning a little bit. It's not as warm down here as it was. So, yes, and the wind this morning was quite, strong, but that's sort of, to be expected. You guys have had some good, not so good weather.
I suppose talking about the weather may be a bit boring sometimes, but today it seems quite pertinent as we are talking about running in winter. And you know some of the hard parts about running in winter, and hopefully giving some sort of tips and about how to get out there in winter, because we need to. Well, you know, it's not so bad running in winter. It's
not really. It's I think there's a lot of things. Barriers, I guess, that people do have around running in not necessarily winter, but just if it's raining or whether it's windy, etc. And it's just how to, I guess, tackle those elements, because I think it's important to keep your training up and, if you want to keep running, don't let the weather dictate that, which some people do. And it's just about having, I guess, those things tools to overcome, getting out into the elements. I think a lot of people, there's that common thing in wintertime of, it's too cold, it's too dark, they don't like getting wet, and people sort of tend to be less motivated, because of that as well. But I think one of the hardest sort of things is that first step, really, is because once you're out there and once you're running, it can, you sort of forget about all those sorts of things,
Yeah, it's getting out the door. And I suppose just the procrastination, right, can make it seem like a bigger deal than it actually is.
You feel so good when you've done it, like it's, like I said, it's just, accepting, I guess, the hardest part is actually getting out the door and, feeling the wind, feeling the cold. But, like there's, I think, what's that saying, like it's not bad weather, it's bad clothing. Hey, like it's just, sometimes it's what you wear. I would rather put on lots of layers knowing I can take them off than go out and feel cold. It's that initial, coldness, because I don't like the cold. Like I hate being cold, but I love running. So it's about also having a different way of thinking about it rather than putting a negative on it. So changing that, I guess, changing that mindset. So challenging yourself a little bit, setting a new sort of like winter running goal, running with people, joining a run club, which is what we're doing, you're doing one tonight up there, and I'm starting in one next week, and that can sort of get you out as well. And it's all about, just getting out, being with people, and then you sort of forget about the weather a little bit. I think it helps with that motivation of just getting out there, stepping out of your comfort zone, and the rewards by doing that they make you feel good, like it's a good sort of like mental toughness, really, of getting out in not all elements. Like, God, if it's like thunderstorms and hail, like you just don't. But yeah, there are, some of my clients, who they don't like getting wet. So it's just changing that way of thinking, like, yes, you are going to get wet because it is raining. But then if you're training for something and come race day, it's raining, what are you going to do? You're still going to do it, right? So it's just about training in, sort of all weathers, because you just don't know what race day is going to be like. It could be raining. It could be really windy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's sort of like how you go into the run and how you finish the run, right? So, if you're going into the run and you're feeling cold already, or you haven't, like you've said, not worn enough clothing or the right clothing, and then at the other end, if you've like not, even if you haven't changed out of your wet clothing, or you haven't, like, you've finished at home, so you've jumped in the shower, you've stayed in your wet clothing, like all that kind of stuff. That's like, it's just basically about clothing, the clothing that you are going out in and the clothing you're going to change into after the run. So
yeah,
if you're going to, it's not so much about the run then, really. It's about like how the coldness that you have gotten from the run. It's not the run's fault. It's 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 the lack of, it's sort of like, maybe it's the lack of preparation, and
That's
and
right. And I think we can overthink these things. We can overthink things, but once you are out the door, and the other thing, I guess, is, yes, like your, it is colder, so it takes longer for your muscles to warm up. So having like a good, decent warm up inside, you don't have to be standing outside trying to warm up in the, like in the depths of winter. Like, do it inside, and to warm your muscles up first, because that's really important, especially if you're prone to injury, etc. Like, it's just, it's really important to do that. But yeah, like once you get going, you just sort of embrace it, and you'll feel good. Like, there's no reason for you not to be out there, and have something to look forward to when you get home, like hot shower, a good coffee, I don't know, or treat yourself. Like, if you do it if it's, a big thing for you, like have like I don't know, after a week or a month or something, go out and buy yourself something. I don't know.
That's a good one.
There's things that you can do, and it's just changing the way you think about winter running. So just thinking of all the positives that you get from running. And it's sort of the same when you're like in the depths of summer, right? Like, when it's really hot, it can be hard too, like I would rather run in the morning when the sun's not up, like it's not really, really hot, because that's hard on your body as well.
I was just thinking that when it's the height of summer, we're complaining that it's too hot, and then and then we get to winter, and now we're complaining it's too cold and too wet and too rainy. So I suppose there's always going to be an excuse not to do things, and I suppose it's like, is that excuse like plausible enough to warrant not doing this thing that is actually really good for your health? And and I suppose it's just weighing that up and having an honest thought about it. And it's like, why? I suppose it just comes back to like why you're running. Why are you running? Because it's not compulsory for life for you to be a runner. There's plenty of there's plenty of other sports that are inside, and then there's plenty of other activities in life outside of the sport realm. That you could be doing. So why is it that you chose running? And it's if that reason's good enough, then running in the rain and in the cold shouldn't really be a barrier. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember, I remember, yeah, it was like a couple of winters ago, right? And it was just raining so much. And I must have been, yeah, when I was training for Auckland Marathon. So like 2022.
Two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and every run felt like it was in the rain. My raincoat got good use, and
Yeah.
I became to love it. You know, I felt alive actually. I felt alive, you know, and that, you know, I was a person
Yeah.
like, you know, outside in the rain doing this run, and it was like,
Mm.
you know, the reality is that, yeah, you're not going to get like the recreational walker or even the recreational runner so much out in the rain because they don't need to. You know, but
Mm.
if you're like an athlete and you're like training towards like a race or just generally trying to get better as a runner, like you're going to be out there, you know, and you're probably going to be
Yeah.
like alone or, you know, with another keen runner that's going to run past and hopefully what looks like a good rain jacket. And yeah, and I think, yeah. And also I do think that another sort of like tip is if you're like a hybrid kind of runner, if you're a road and trail runner, like going for a
Mm.
trail run in the rain is an entirely different experience than a road run because if you're
Yeah.
undercover, you're going to get like less wet, obviously. Um,
Yeah.
so that could be like a good tip, seeing if you can get out into the trails instead of the road,
Yeah.
just to get a bit of shelter. And you will soon forget about the rain because you'll probably be navigating the slipperiness of the trail and staying upright.
But it is, you know, like you know, it is really that initial thinking of getting out the door, because I think like if we asked all those people who have gotten out the door and asked them how did you enjoy that, people will have enjoyed it, you know, like they would have had a good run. And I don't think you know, it's good to have off seasons and everything like that, and if you choose to have an off season you know, through that winter time, that's great, but that's not like you stop running altogether either. But yeah, just, you know, if you want to keep running, you know, don't let the weather dictate that. And think of you know, like the things that running does as well, like it just, you know, it increases that serotonin. It's that, you know, like sort of like that runner's high, which is a real thing. Like that runner's high is a thing, and it's just gets those endorphins flowing, and it gets, you know, like especially if you're prone to mental health stuff, and I know that I am, then like getting out for a run will just like put me back up here, and it just helps, you know, level things out for me. So yeah, and it has been proven, you know, like there's been a New Zealand study that has said, you know, like, you know, exercise for 2.5 hours a week can improve someone's mental health, you know, by like 51%, you know, like, and that's massive. So yeah, think of all the positives that you're going to be getting out of you know, continuing to run. And sometimes even just ringing up a friend and saying, hey, let's go for a run, you know, and that can help. That's sort of like the motivator to get out the door as well. Yeah. So, but I think, you know, one of the other things that we're going to talk about is like the gear, like having good gear, and, you know, how you sort of tackle the cold and stuff, and or the rain, and having, like, I know, like for me, I have, like I think I said before, like I like lots of layers, and I like having like a base layer. Sometimes I will have 2 or 3 other layers on top, but I use like icebreakers. Like merinos are great. You know, investing in, you know, good gear, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Like just look on Trade Me, you know, like there's like people, like I'd rather recycle my clothing and reuse, someone else's. I think that's, that's my thing. But yeah, just having like, a good base layer, having a good jacket, seam sealed jacket, so the water's not getting in. And some people wear like buffs around their neck, or up sort of, to cover their mouth. That's good as well. And I wear like a peaked hat if it's raining, just to sort of keep some water off, not all water off, but that can sort of help as well. And just having, and if like obviously if it's dark, having some sort of like either a chest light or a headlight and some reflective clothing. And there's so much out there now, like there's like vests with like flashing lights, just to be so you're seen. Have you got things that you use that to keep you warm?
Well, yeah, I suppose actually for me I'm sort of of the mentality, it would seem, that I have a few things that are quite expensive. So I, especially my rain jacket, I invested in a Macpac rain jacket that I think it was like $500, and it's really awesome. It's really good. The water doesn't sit on the jacket, and it keeps me dry as such. It doesn't stick to me, like the rain jackets that kind of like the water sits on it and then it sticks to you and then you end up cold. So maybe if that is possible, do invest in that sort of $500 jacket, because it will last you ages. It will last you ages. And so that's a really good tip that I think helps me get through the winter. I think. And in terms of other gear, the gloves and the buffs and just the normal stuff, thermal tops, and even I'm not a huge fan of them, but maybe leggings and stuff can be something that you might need to look at doing as well, or longer socks. So just do the basics well, and you
probably take them off anyway, I end up taking that's sort of why I like icebreakers, is because I do end up taking off like my long sleeved icebreaker and just tying it around my waist, because you do warm up. Like that's something else to remember as well. It's like, that maybe, when you go out for a run, it's like, 10, 15 minute, like sort of easy run warm up. And it is quite like, your body's just, well, hopefully you've already done like some sort of warm up, warming your muscles up, but beforehand. But it is that initial, like it's cold, and that's probably all you're thinking of in those first 5 minutes. But if you can, get through that, and I know for myself, and everybody's different, I do warm up quite quickly, and I should probably remember that, and I probably shouldn't wear so many layers, but it's just that initial, like, it's cold, and if you can take it off, tie it around your waist. If you're going on a trail run, you can just shove it in your vest. It's, there's ways around it, and even with a jacket, you can tie it around your waist as well. So and as long as you're visible, like, going out, at winter time, obviously it's getting darker at like 5-ish, 5:30-ish down here anyway, and just having like a torch on, there's no reason why you can't go out in the dark either, as long as you're visible to other people. It's still it's good. And I think there's there is quite a few run clubs, I keep seeing, probably because I'm starting one next week, but I seem to be, there's lots of I think if you look around in your community, there might be a run club at night or early in the morning as well. But yeah, I think winter running just helps sort of maintain that fitness, and for those spring races, like if you've got something coming up in springtime, you want to keep things flowing, right? So yeah, it's just getting over those hurdles as well. I think one thing that I do hear is, people don't like getting sick, and nobody likes getting sick. And I think come winter time, this is another sort of like quite a massive tip is, looking after your body better, or more so in winter time. There's lots more, bugs hanging out, because, like in the warmth, like in air conditioned offices, the bugs just sort of circulate, and we're not getting as much vitamin D because obviously the sun's not up for as long and high in the sky to sort of get that real vitamin D fix. And vitamin D is just one of those amazing nutrients that we need in winter time, and we're quite depleted of it. And that's another reason to get outside in wintertime, go for a run. You're going to get some vitamin D. And there are ways, like food ways to get vitamin D, but like the real like effective way to get it into you is through the sun, the sun. So, but yeah, just looking after your immune system. So, and that's looking after your gut. A lot of your, immune system's in your gut. So just keeping things really clean in the way you eat, like your fruit and vegetables, red meats, good grains, those sorts of things, staying away from, and we all know this, staying away from the processed stuff and the sugars, etc., etc. Yeah. So, but, vitamin D is, if you can, sometimes people do supplement with vitamin D, because it is one of those things, for your bones and, for muscle recovery, for your bone health. So we want to try and keep those levels up. So on a nice winter's day, on a cold winter's day, and the sun's out, and even if the sun's not out and it's cloudy, you're still going to get vitamin D, some vitamin D, by going out and exposing your skin to the elements, which is really, really important. But, investing in a good probiotic as well, that's good for just keeping things flowing down there. And and a lot of, like I said, a lot of your immune system is in your gut. And just getting like good sleep, like that's really important as well. That just sort of like keeps the stress levels down. And also like checking like with your magnesium levels, like maybe taking some, like if you're not sleeping, like magnesium's really good for that. And also good for that muscle recovery as well. And keep drinking. Like I think, just because it's cold doesn't mean that your body doesn't need any more water. Like it's really important to keep hydration up as well. And some people don't like drinking water because it's cold, like warm water, hot water is fine. And having something like the MNRL, that, and you get a flavoured one, that can help just take away that, I don't know, boring sort of like water feeling. And by doing that, you're having like magnesium. What else has it got in it? Magnesium, potassium, and
sodium.
the other electrolytes in it. So you're getting a boost of flavour and you're getting a boost of electrolytes as well. Yeah, but yeah, like we do still sweat when we're running in winter time, so it's really important to replace that with water, with electrolytes, and keeping energy levels high. Like if when we're dehydrated, our energy levels go down, we feel more fatigued, and by just keeping that water intake going, really plumps up those cells, and it just helps everything flow, a lot better. So keep drinking water, and keep drinking the same amount of water. Like, no, 2 liters is good, 3 liters is great. Yeah. So, yes.
Good one. All really good, like, yeah, suggestions for like how to boost your immune system. Yeah, I definitely relate to having those in my life to make me feel better. Yeah, this is simple things like eating right is just so key in how I feel about myself and my energy levels. And as much as staying inside with a nice cozy meal and all that kind of thing is really nice. It's really enjoyable, and that's great. It's not it can be like a reward at the end of the day. You can still do all that kind of thing, all those cozy feelings, and there's good foods and all that, and just going back to basics, really, just going back to basics. And especially if you're got this kind of like history mindset of winter is just shit, I hate winter. If you if you carry that mindset into winter, it's going to be shit. It's going to be shit. But but if you just sort of work on one thing at a time, and who knows what's going to happen, and just sort of acknowledging that you find it hard. And yeah, I think we've covered a few topics today of from the barriers to the benefits to the gear to the foods that sort of can help make winter running just running, but just in winter, opposed to this big scary thing where we have to stop and all have to go inside. It's all right to face the elements at times, and ultimately it's going to be good for your running. I was just thinking another benefit is if you're heart rate running, it's the bomb. It's the best in winter. Your heart rate is so low and you can run faster. That doesn't happen in the height of summer. It doesn't happen in the height of summer. So it's
this is your time to do that.
yeah, and it's just a different feeling, it's a different feeling. It's like that. For me, like with I almost get more of a runner's high in winter. I'm fortunate enough that I've run in winter in Wanaka. I've run in winter in Rotorua. I've run in winter in Auckland, and they all have sort of different different weather, and different ranges of coolness or dryness. And just you expose yourself to things enough times, then it doesn't become scary.
That's right.
And you get a different experience, and you never quite know if you might enjoy that experience.
But just make sure you stay warm as well, and just keep one of the things that I read, and I think this is quite a common little quote, is don't judge your run by the first mile. So just keep going, just keep pushing through that. And sometimes people push through that, not physically, but just mentally. Like they've got the physical side there, it's just that mental side. Because when you're running, you often think, don't you? Like that at first, like when you go out the door and it's like it's cold and I've got this far to go. But once you start warming up, it just feels better. Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think that's about it.
Yeah, I just had one little quick question, and I suppose it was just health coach Kim. What is the difference between what is the difference between getting your supplements from, say, the supermarket versus sort of like the pharmacy grade pharmacy grade / sort of ones you find at the health shop?
Yeah. So there's like so much out there, and one of the things that I believe in is if you can get a supplement that is close to its sort of natural form, the better. A lot of the, say, like the supermarket ones, they're like all synthetically made, and they're sitting on a shelf under the fluorescent lights and not giving you hardly any benefit at all. Having something that like vitamin C, for instance, the ascorbic acid is only one element of vitamin C. If you can get a supplement, and I'm talking more about like a whole food sort of supplement, like there's camu powder, which is basically a whole sort of vitamin C supplement, the better. I tend to steer towards more whole food supplements than the synthetic ones. You may have to pay a little bit more, but your body's going to recognize them a lot better, so they're going to be processed and I guess used by your body better than what a synthetic supplement would do. But again, I think also you have to have a good system already in place for your body to process that supplement. And by that, what I mean by that is getting your gut right. If you've got a good gut and it's all working, your body will take in what you're giving it. But if it's not, you're basically taking a supplement and then it's just coming out the other end. So whole food supplements are the best. Real food is the best, but obviously we've got to fill in those gaps, and not all foods have rich in vitamin C, but so you sometimes do need to fill the gaps, and just choose whole food supplements. Something like spirulina will be, and that can come in a capsule, tablet or powder form, would be so much better than something like a supermarket multi. Your body will just recognize what the spirulina is because it's a real food. It will recognize it a lot better. Is that a really long answered?
No, that was good. No, I reckon it is a question I get asked from clients a lot. Well, not a lot, but often. And so, it's good to understand a bit more, and just hearing it over and over again obviously makes me remember. And hopefully it makes whoever is listening to this maybe question, how much do they want, what's the difference really, and, and why should I, and I think you answered that well. And I suppose that is all really. I was also just thinking, just it's interesting that you were saying about in relation to vitamin C actually, and real foods. Chris and I's fruit consumption goes up significantly when we come into winter actually, and we have fruit bowls full of whatever's in season. It's getting a bit harder now. Fortunately, my mum has an orange tree, and we'll probably eat lots of oranges. But we touch wood. Last winter and stuff, we didn't get sick as such. And I think it was due to just taking good supplements and eating well, and upping the vitamin C. Another thing about upping vitamin C through oranges is obviously it's got a high glycemic index as well, so it's got more sugar, and so that will give you more energy to go out and do your run. So opposed to the berries and stuff that we have in summer, because we get more vitamin D from the sun. So that's a really good source of energy. So it's just like, being aware of all that. And that's why, you may crave oranges in winter. It's because of that, partly as well. So, eat for the season. Things grow in season for a reason. And
100%.
Yeah. And it's not just an accident. And so, it's good to give I feel like we're going to go into a whole new topic, so we might, but it's good to give your body a break from certain foods in winter versus summer, and, and just, eating the same 365 days a year is not going to be good for that gut health, and, being more intuitive with how you want to eat, as well, can
totally
help with just, getting out the door, really. Don't be afraid to eat real foods.
That's right. And I think, and then, like also like, going back to the running side of it, or exercise, is that, exercise is good for the immunity as well. Like I was reading that in 2019 they did a study that showed just moderate to intense exercise stimulates that cellular immunity. So basically it's increasing that circulation of immune cells, and so like if there is any sort of bugs coming into your system, those immune cells are able to detect it a lot quicker. Just it detects sort of those pathogens and those bugs, and so then they can sort of act straight away, so then you don't get sick, because when we're sick, like everything just goes out the door basically. So just remember, when you look out the window and it's cold, just think that it's actually like getting outside will actually help your immunity. It just gets things flowing, and your body knows, and it wants to go outside, it wants to have fresh air. Like this is, it's like human nature, really.
Totally.
And I think also that sort of, moderate to intense, but then of course there's always that balance. Like if it's too much, it can also suppress the immunity. But then that's sort of another topic as well.
Yes.
But
So it's about balance, really, isn't it? Life is just about balance, and it's trying to work on that balance. And going from hard out in the summer to no go in the winter is not exactly balanced. And I suppose it's just finding what works for you and being okay with it. And
that's right.
Hopefully this has given you
some good advice. But if you are getting sick in wintertime, or more so like whenever, like it is time to, you can have a chat with me, it's just filling in those gaps of what you can do that can just help boost up your immune system, so you can go out and you can enjoy running or life. It's really important to have that strong immune system, really.
It's like the canary in the coal mine. If you go out for that one run and you get sick, it's not really about the run, it's probably more about your health. And you're probably going to be okay if you're healthy. Humans aren't that fickle. If we were, I suppose we would be wouldn't have made it. But I think we are really going to be waffling soon. Cool. Well, I think that is it for today. So if you'd like to find me, I'm Trail Girl Charlotte on Instagram. You'll find lots of strength stuff and just running and activities like that. And you also find me on YouTube. You're probably already on YouTube on here watching this, but I'm Trail Girl Charlotte, and as well on Spotify. So please feel free to connect with me.
Cool. I am on Instagram, Good Witch Runs, and on Facebook, I'm Kimberly Moffat, and Strava, I'm also Kimberly Moffat.
Nice.
So yes, you can connect with me anytime. I'd love to talk to you and connect.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Well, happy winter running, and we will talk to you soon.
Cool.